Hey everybody! Well, today we're going to take a look at the brand new Star Trek set from Lego. Finally, Lego is getting into Star Trek. I don't know what the holdup was, but maybe it was a licensing thing. I don't know, but their first set they've decided to go with is the Enterprise D. I think it should be a pretty cool set. It's a big set. It has 3,600 pieces. It's set number 10356. I was really hesitant on buying this thing because of the price. I mean, this thing retails for $400, and right now I really can't afford this set, but I went ahead and took the plunge anyway. On the back here, you can see another angle of it. Not much in the way of play features, but it's mainly a display model anyway. But it does have the saucer separation that we can do, that we saw in a few times during the series and during the movies as well. Comes with all the main complement of characters for the crew, which is great. I do love the minifigures. So, and a nice stand as well. But there's some things about this I don't like. There's kind of a lot of things I don't like about it, which was another reason I was kind of hesitant to buy it. But we will check it out when I get it all built. If there's anything interesting along the way of the build, I'll cut in and show it to you. Also, I forgot to mention that it does come with this gift with purchase. This is the Type 15 shuttle pod. It's the Onizuka. Pretty cool little set, hopefully. On the back here, you can see how it looks when it's all open. It comes with the exclusive Ensign Row figure, which is probably the main reason a lot of people are going to want to get this. But these are always very limited, and since this whole set, the Enterprise, just came out on Black Friday, let's see, what would that be? November 28th. Yeah, these are going to run out really quick. But anyway, we'll take a look at this too once I get everything all built. Okay, so I am pretty much finished with the secondary hull. And it was pretty fun building this. This half and this half you build separately, and then they push together. It was kind of interesting how that was built. I didn't know that that's how that all goes. But it's really cool. And then they're held together by these little pieces right here. They're kind of like these ball pieces. There's a couple more down inside, but it's a good solid construction. You know, you don't really think it's going to be while you're building it, but then somehow at the end it all kind of works out. There's the main deflector. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Those pieces are really cool. So I'm working on the nacelles now, and I got to say that as you're building this structure on the inside, it's a little bit fragile. You have to be careful because, you know, these things will tend to come apart if you put too much pressure on it. And I don't know. It was probably not my favorite part to build so far, but it does look really good. There's the chiller grills going all around. So it looks really good. And so you do two at the same time. And so the best thing to do is on the instructions here, you know, it tells you to build two. And so just do everything in doubles. For instance, instead of two of those tan pieces, do four and do two of those. And if you just do them one after the other, you can just build both of these at the same time. That way you don't have to go back and do it. I mean, I think most Lego builders do it that way. But they're both exactly the same, so you don't have to worry about it. All right, well, I'm really liking this so far. Yeah, it's actually going together pretty good. All right, looks like I'll be finishing these up, and then I can finally start working on that saucer. Okay, so these are the Bussard collectors, and these are really cool because it's the first time they've made these pieces in this clear red. And they look pretty darn good, but what else is really neat about this is there's a little in-joke that the designers put in. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, Lego, on their city sets and stuff, their fuel is called octan, and it's always represented by this green, red, and white color. And so here they are saying that these engines are powered by octan instead of dilithium crystals. So it's pretty funny that they threw that little in-joke in there, but I think it's really neat. But these pieces look really good. Pretty cool that they were able to recolor these to make the Bussard collectors. All right, well, almost done with the nacelles. Okay, so I started working on the saucer. This is a very strong middle structure that's going on in here. It's pretty cool. And you can see back here, we're already starting the back of the saucer. There's the arboretum. Not a big fan of the fact that we are still using stickers in 2025. Lego, come on, it's not 1985 anymore. Your competitors aren't using stickers, so why are you? Multi-billion-dollar company. And then look at how the stickers don't match. Look how the color doesn't even match. God, I tell you. And then here's another goof. I tell you, I don't know what's going on with Lego's quality control lately. Okay, so on the bridge of pretty much all starships, there's a dedication plaque. And on the Enterprise, you can see that we've got this one here. Now, if I can get Let me see if I can zoom in. All right, and then see. Now see at the bottom where it says, it's supposed to say to boldly go where no one has gone before, but as you can see, they misspelled it. And it says to boldy go. Oh my God. How did that get past the QC people? Oh my gosh. Anyway, it is pretty cool that this little piece here is going to be hidden. It's like a fun little Easter egg they put in there. I think once you build all the parts on here, this is going to be forever sealed up in there and you'll never see it again. But you will know as a builder that it is behind the back of the shuttle bay. And that is a little shuttlecraft right there, which is really cool. But boy, that's a blatant goof up there. And really, Lego, please get your stickers to match the actual color of the bricks. All right, moving on with the build. Okay, so I just want to show you this really cool substructure that they got going on in here. It's quite a bit of pieces that make this up. So here's how you can see how they build this whole bridge section. Looks like the panels are going to clip in, is my guess, is how that's going to work. But look at the skeleton in there. And then that's the bottom right there. No, that's the top. And then this is the bottom, which I'm already doing quite a bit down here. So you can see there's a lot of tiling off and paneling. It's looking really good. I was wondering how they were going to pull off this saucer section, but yeah, it's a really strong skeletal system you can see going on in there. Very cool. I'm always amazed at the engineering that goes into these sets. I don't know how they do it, but it's pretty awesome. And these little clips are where the phaser banks are going to go. All right, well, really enjoying this build. Okay, so now let's start with these fantastic minifigures. I love all of them. They're so cool. So this is Geordi LaForge. I absolutely love that print on his face of the visor. That looks really cool. Now, some people have complained that there's no pips detail on their collar, but I don't know. I'm neither here nor there with it. I mean, they'd be so small you'd probably barely be able to see them. Each one of these characters has their own thing that they carry. In this case, Geordi's got his repair kit, his little tool kit engineering thing. Now here we've got Worf, and this is really great because Worf has got the headpiece that is exclusive, well, at least so far to this set. It's the first time it's been made, and it really does give him that Klingon look. It looks fantastic. He's got his sash on there. It's a nice silver color. Let me see if I can get the light on it just right. But see how it's all shiny? And I think that's supposed to be a phaser that he's carrying. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks like the top of the phaser prop, so I'm guessing that's what it is, since he was in charge of security. Now here we have Deanna Troi, the ship's counselor. This is probably, well, this is from the earlier episodes where she wore these kind of skin-tight outfits. Later on, they actually had her wearing a blue, the standard blue costume, or I should say uniform, and she looks so much better in that. I don't know why they didn't just start her off with it, but this still looks really good. The hair piece is fantastic. You can kind of see how the hair looks. Sorry I don't have these on a better way to post them, but there's so many of them. And then she's carrying her pad right here. You can kind of see the detail on it. What's really funny is that there's actually a Lego piece on here. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. See, it's got like a grid pattern of a Lego piece. It's really cool. So she's carrying her data pad. Now next we have Data, and I love it because Data, first of all, I just love the way they did his face. I mean, this does look like Brent Spiner. It's very cool. And then he's got his cat Spot. I loved Spot. Spot was so cute. There's a very emotional scene in Generations where he discovers that Spot's alive and he's crying, and you know, I don't think he's ever felt that that emotion before. It's really cool. I love it. But Data, definitely one of my favorite characters. Here we've got Picard, Captain Picard himself, and I love that he's carrying his tea Earl Grey hot. He would always order that from the replicator, and it looks really good. So a really good picture or likeness of his face. Another great print on all their uniforms. They look really good. Here we've got Commander Riker. He's got his beard when he started growing his beard on there. And he also comes with his trumpet, which I forgot to put in here, but we'll take a look at that in just a second. And then we have Guinan. I really loved Guinan, played by Whoopi Goldberg. She became a really cool character where a lot of people would come to her for advice. She came from a race, I think they were called Alorians, and they were listeners. And she definitely was a good listener. She was very, very good. Great character. Her so many storylines with her that were great. Now, I really love that she is carrying that green container. That goes back all the way to the original series when Scotty was trying to get this alien drunk, and when the alien said, "What is it?" Scotty didn't know. He looks at it, he just says, "It's green." And so then, in a reference to that later in the Next Generation, Data is serving Scotty. It's an episode called Relics. And when he looks at what he's trying to give Scotty some real alcohol, and when he says, "What is it?" Data didn't know what it was, and he just says, "It is green." It was such a great reference. So here we have Guinan carrying a green outfit. I'm assuming that was supposed to be an homage to that. It's really great. Here we have Dr. Crusher, played by Gates McFadden. Now, she was not in season 2. There was some kind of dispute between her and I think one of the producers or something like that. And then they had brought in Dr. Pulaski, and she just didn't work as good with, the character. It didn't take off, and a lot of people complained, a lot of fans. So they thankfully brought Gates McFadden back into the show. And then here you can see that she is carrying her medical tricorder right there. And it looks like it too. It's a really nicely detailed tile for her medical tricorder. So I thought that was really good. And now we have Wesley Crusher. Now this is like the younger or the earlier version of Wesley. This is the costume that he wore at the beginning of the series. His character, of course, grew quite a bit. Some people didn't like Wesley Crusher on the show. I actually had no problem with him. Will Wheaton, I think he did a pretty good job, but he ended up leaving the show because I think he thought he was going to have a better career. I think he admitted that he regretted that decision later, and then he was kind of brought on here and there. But this little gadget that he's carrying is the repulsor beam, I believe, is in a very early episode. I think it was like the Naked... it was The Naked Now, I believe, or something like that. It was a kind of a sequel to the original series episode. And here is Riker's trombone, which is just made up of some pretty cool pieces, and it also has this nice stand, or you can just have him holding it with that little part right there. Another thing that's really cool about this is the stand is really nice because it has the Star Trek The Next Generation logo, but I love how they're all on this long strip. And some of them, of course, have alternate faces. And here are their alternate faces. I'll just kind of quickly skim by here so you can see what they look like. Sometimes they're smiling, sometimes they're serious. And Picard, you'll notice, of course, doesn't have an alternate face because he has no hairpiece to cover the alternate face. So here you can kind of see how the rest of these look. Fantastic figures. I love every one of these figures. I think they did a really good job. And here is the big lady herself, the Enterprise. Oh my gosh. This thing, I gotta say, I don't know. The more I look at this, the more I kind of like it. I will say that it's better in person than what I saw in the pictures. They didn't have one of these built at the Lego store, so I couldn't really see it. But I do like it. There's still things that I don't like about it. I'll go over that later on, but I will say this thing is super heavy. It's very heavy. They're very specific that if you're going to pick it up, that you grab it from back here and on the middle of the bottom part of the saucer. This does come off the stand very good. It's just there's just two things that are holding it in there. I don't want to lift it up, but it just slides right on there, and it's really nice. The stand is pretty strong considering the weight that's sitting on it. But it looks really good. I mean, this looks really fantastic. I'm kind of surprised they were able to pull this off in Lego form because Star Trek ships are much harder to do, I would think, because, in Star Wars, everything's greebles. There's greeblies all over everything. And in Star Trek, the ships are super smooth and kind of sleek, and it's not the easiest thing to pull that off. All right, well, let's take a look at some cool details on this. Let's start with the saucers. So this part was really fun to build. I think some people might find it a little repetitive just because of the way these pieces go. But you saw by looking at the frame that I showed earlier how these just kind of clip in. You almost build them like a V shape, and then they clip in, and then it fills in at the bottom, which is really clever the way it was done. But I do think it looks really good. There's a few things about it that I don't like. Number one, I'm not a fan of all these studs showing. It is supposed to be a very smooth surface. And I kind of wish they would have been able to do some of this using more tiling. I don't know. I don't know if they were trying to, well, they may not just have the pieces to make it completely smooth. Now, if you look at a lot of the ships in Star Trek, they have this detailing called Aztecing. It's a very distinctive pattern on a lot of these ships, and the Enterprise D has that as well. And so maybe they were trying to kind of represent that here, but I'm not really sure. Another thing I don't like is what is with all these tan pieces everywhere? Why did they put that in there? I really don't like this tan. The only thing that's kind of tan on the saucer are those little strips that you'll see kind of random. I think there's a couple over here. I think they're transporter in what's like transporter emitters or something like that. And that would have been cool if they did it that way with just those tan pieces. But there's all this weird tan stuff going on. I'm assuming the designer didn't want to do just all gray, but you know, the Enterprise is all gray. And the other thing is, and I know it would have been hard for them to do this, but it would have been cool if they could do prints of the lifeboats, the escape pods that go around the outside of the saucer. And, you know, they didn't get that detail in there. And it does kind of noticeably make it look a little off without it. So, you know, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because this is their first go at a Star Trek ship, and I know it couldn't have been easy to do this. This is the phaser array, and it's made of just those flexi tubes. There's two big long ones here, and they have those little clips at the end, and they just kind of meet up about the center point right about there. And they just clip in, and I think that's pretty well done. This is, believe it or not, a print. And I'll rant about the stickers later. But this is a printed part, and I am glad that they at least made that a print because it would have been hard to get that perfectly straight. But it is a nice print on there. There is the bridge. All right, well, let's move on to the back. Looking at the secondary hull now, this view of it looks pretty cool, I gotta say. I really like it. Now, originally when I saw this, I wasn't a fan of the way this part looked. But now that I've looked at it for a while, I'm okay with it. I mean, they did have to kind of try to make it look like it's the way it is on the model. You know, it's like where it's smooth on the original Enterprise. Once again, it's hard for them to do this, you know, as smooth as they could. The neck looks a little rough in here. Yeah, I'm not sure, especially this part right here. I'm not a fan of the way that was left. It almost looks like it was just not covered or something like that. These are stickers for the shuttle bays, the smaller shuttle bays. That's the bigger one there. Now what's really cool is they got this little shuttle right here. It's like these two pieces represent the shuttlecraft, and that has a specific reason for being there, which I'll point out later. Stickers for the 1701D and more stickers for the Arboretum. Gosh, these stickers, I got to tell you, Lego, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar company and they can't get these stickers. First of all, can they please get rid of stickers? These other competitors will put, you know, dozens of printed pieces in their sets. I don't know why Lego still thinks it's 1985 and we got to put these dang stickers on. But the other thing is, you'll notice that they don't even match the color to the piece. I mean, you can distinctly see the darker gray for those windows. And I mean, I guess what you could do is just cut along that edge, and that way you can get rid of most of this, but then it would be hard to make sure that these are centered. But yeah, not a fan of that. They also did the same thing on the nacelles right here. Notice how that's really dark gray. And the thing is it's only this part that you need on there, so I'm not sure why they put this whole piece on there. That's a sticker there. That's a sticker there. Now, the rest of this looks pretty good. I will say that these, I think, are actually correct. I think these were transporter emitters that were on here. I mean, maybe these were too, so they at least represented those there. But once again, we have some weird random tan bits going on here. Now, these nacelles, I gotta say they did a pretty good job on these. I mean, that couldn't have been an easy thing to pull off, but because they are kind of rounded, it does make it a little bit easier to maybe make these with the pieces that they have. And I do like the clear blue for the chiller grills and also the clear red for the buzzard collectors. These two pieces have never been, well, I should say that curved piece has never been made in this color before. So you get that in this set, which I think they look pretty good. A little bit more square back here, a little more flat than it actually is, but it's okay. Now you'll notice I did something different on here. I did make one modification. Now, since they used clear blue for the nacelles and clear red for the nacelles, why didn't they use clear orange for the impulse engines right here, and then the two behind the back of the saucer? So I did modify that. The original pieces that were supposed to go on there are these. It's like a new color. It's like a reddish orange that they have. It was supposed to go like this, but it just looks a little off when you have the clear pieces on the engine. See, this one would have been back here. And I think they kind of stand out almost too much being opaque. So I just had I had to go through my spare parts bin, and I ended up using 3 of the cheese wedge pieces for that. Kind of makes it have an angle, if I can stay focused here. And then these ones, there was a 1x2 flat tile and just a 1x1 flat tile for those. But yeah, I just think that looks a lot better. These things were actually phaser banks. When I was looking at that, I thought, no, those were phasers. They had those all over the ship too. All right, now let's take a look at the bottom here and let me get some better lighting on this. In the pictures, I didn't think the bottom of this looked very good. It just kind of looked weird because of this, the straight line here and the straight line here. In fact, when you're building this, it's really weird to see it with those straight edges. It's not until you put these end pieces on that give it its roundness. These pieces here are all printed. Those windows are printed, which is really nice. I'm glad to see they did that. They even have 10 Forward, the 10 Forward Lounge represented right there, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really too keen on this straight edge either. It kind of makes it look weird. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to be a little lenient with, you know, how this goes. But they didn't do the phaser bank on the bottom, and I thought that was weird. You know how they did it up here with that tubing? Well, why didn't they do something similar down here? There is a phaser bank on the bottom. These windows are pretty cool. They're kind of like dormer windows, and on this one here, they actually use some of those pieces that's got the texturing on it. That is another sticker, and yes, once again, the gray does not match. That's the captain's yacht, which we never got to see on the show. I always wanted to see them use that, but that was a sticker as well. This is probably one of the big things that this set, that a lot of people were talking about on this set because of the main deflector dish. It looks really cool. There are actually two windshield pieces with this print on the outside, and then it kind of shows through, but I think it's pretty cool looking. I mean, I think they did a pretty good job on it. I really like the way it looks. The only thing is it's kind of oval, and it looks a little off. And on the original, on the actual ship, it's more like an eye shape. You know, so it comes more to a point like this. But giving, once again, the pieces that they have, I think they did pretty good. It really does look pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with that. And here's the stand, a nice good stand on there. A little bit of yellow right in there. There's the bottom of the nacelles. Yeah, it's very cool. This neck, that was another thing I wasn't that keen on. I don't really like the way they did the layering on it. Once again, it's hard to pull that shape off, but I don't know. I guess it looks okay, but it's not my favorite part of the ship. They even have the phaser. The photon torpedo. I guess you could kind of say this hole right here is where the photon torpedo comes out. Maybe a little bit above it. But yeah, maybe that's why they put it in there. And these holes that they have when you put it together, they kind of do make it look like there's windows on the ship as well. But overall, I don't know. Overall, I think it's actually not that bad. This is the plaque that comes with this, and it's actually really nice. I like the way they printed this. You can see all the details on there. But I like that this has more of a matte finish to it rather than being shiny. And they also don't have an obnoxious little mold mark in the middle like they do on the bigger ones. But it's pretty neat. I think it looks pretty good. Got some stats on there. So this is mostly a display model, but there is one, I guess you could call it play feature, but maybe just a feature in general. Now, in the show, I think it was shown 2 or 3 times where the saucer could detach from the secondary hull, and the purpose of that was because this ship was so much bigger than the Kirk era, there was families that lived aboard. So if the Enterprise ever got in trouble, all the families could be evacuated to the saucer section. The saucer section could detach while the battle section goes and fights. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was shown also in, I think, Generations. Now, the way you do it, I was pointing out this little shuttle for a reason. You actually pull this out, and it's there for a reason. What it is it's got a post right here, and then that is what kind of holds this in, and then you kind of push this forward, and it just comes off like this. I mean, it could not be easier the way they did this, and this is a pretty significantly heavy saucer, but here you can kind of see what this looks like. The battle bridge would have been right in this area somewhere, and I'll show you what that looks like right up there. And here's how you can see that goes on. So it just kind of slides in there and locks under those pieces. It's surprisingly strong to hold it up. In fact, that pin, I think it's just there mainly for safety reasons to make sure it doesn't slide off, but that's where that goes. But yeah, pretty well designed for that. During the building process, they tell you to go ahead and put the saucer on here, and then later on you're building the bottom details down here, and it didn't even occur to me I should have just taken it off of there so I could put these panels on a lot easier. It's hard to look underneath where they go because you do put this outer edge right here on later. So maybe it's something you can think of if you decide to build it. This is the part that locks into that part right there. But what I really love about the fact that you can take the saucer off is you can recreate that fantastic crash scene from Star Trek Generations. Replacing the saucer is nice and easy. That little block down there goes inside that little opening, or that little, like, I don't know what you call it, that little opening section, and it just slides back. You can see how it kind of moves forward and backward. And then you put that shuttle piece right back in here, and that locks it in. I mean, it's really, really well thought out. While this isn't my favorite version of the Enterprise, my favorite version is the refit that we saw in Star Treks 1 through 6. But I do like this. I think it's very cool. Lego's first time making a Star Trek set. I'm really glad they finally got the license to do it. I'm not sure what the holdup was. I mean, look how long they've been doing Star Wars. So I did want to support them by buying this set because I do want them to make more Star Trek sets. I would love to see Voyager. I love that ship. Maybe the refit Enterprise, the Reliant from Star Trek 2. Gosh, Klingon ships. Oh man, there's so many they could do, and different shuttles and stuff like that. But once again, this was a $400 set, which, oof, man, that's a big oof. I really had a hard time with it, paying that. Thankfully, I got a little bit of a discount with some VIP points, but yeah. Oh man, the cost of these things are just getting skyrocketingly high. But anyway, I do think it's pretty cool. As I mentioned earlier, I do have the gift with purchase shuttle pod. I'll do a separate video on that. I was hoping to squeeze that into this one, but I don't want it to get longer than it already is. But this is a cool set. I think it's really cool. I would like to have seen it at about $350. I think that would have been a more fair price for this. But I don't know. I guess it's okay. So hopefully you can get your hands on one of these. And if you're a Star Trek fan, I really do love it. I think it's pretty cool. It's better than I thought it was going to be now that I've had the experience of building it. All right, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'd very much appreciate it. And until the next time, I will see you on the next video. So thanks again, and have a good one.